Happy to have Pierre in studio with me. He's the Conservative finance critic and MP from Ontario. Thanks for being here.
Good to be with you.
All right, well, let's start off with the carbon tax. You've been pushing for numbers in terms of how much a federal carbon tax would cost the average Canadian family. I want to start off by playing a clip of you talking to the Prime Minister about this in Ottawa, and then we'll discuss after that.
PBO says this new carbon tax will axe $10 billion from our GDP, but Finance Canada, because of this government, is blacking out the cost to the average Canadian family. Will he end the carbon tax cover-up and tell us how much it will cost Canadians?
In regards to pricing of carbon pollution, I can highlight that 86% of our economy already has a price on carbon pollution in their jurisdictions, and we will continue to work to make sure there is fairness across the country.
Okay, so not a lot of answers there. That was a few weeks ago. Have you got any answers since on that question?
I have not. I know the government has answers because I possess hundreds of documents that they have produced to calculate those costs. The only problem with those documents is that they black out all the numbers. So we don't know what the average family will pay in higher gas, home heating, groceries, and other secondary and tertiary costs that come from this tax. We do know it's going to be expensive, and we believe the government should tell Canadians what they will pay before imposing it. Do
the Conservatives agree with a carbon tax in the sense of trying to regulate emissions in some way?
We don't believe that the carbon tax is the best way to pursue this problem. One of the worries we have is that it'll actually drive business out of Canada to other jurisdictions which have worse environmental records than Canada. And ironically, that could have the effect of meaning more environmentally destructive production in other places, rather than keeping jobs here where we have regulations to protect our environment and our ecology.
Let's talk ecology. Let's talk about the pipeline. Okay. The federal government just got into the pipeline business. $4.5 billion for the Kinder Morgan TransMountain project. What are your thoughts on how that file was handled?
Well, first of all, Justin Trudeau blocked the Northern Gateway pipeline to the Pacific. He then blocked the Energy East pipeline to the Atlantic. Those two pipelines would have brought millions of barrels of oil to markets other than the United States. Having blocked those two, he was left with only one pipeline, and when the investor believed the business climate in Canada was so bad it was going to leave, Trudeau had to buy them out. The effect was to purchase a 65-year-old pipeline that we already had and send $4.5 billion from Canadian taxpayers to a Texas company which has now announced it's going to use that money to build pipelines in the United States, pipelines that will compete with our industry. So no, we don't think this was the right approach. We believed he ought to have approved the environmentally sound proposals that were already on the table through Northern Gateway and Energy East, instead of using Canadian tax dollars to fund a Texas company.
All right. Tariffs. I want to talk to you about tariffs as well. It's a difficult time with the Trump administration being a little bit unpredictable, I would say, when we're talking about those kinds of issues. Steel tariffs, of course, were put in place. The Trudeau government retaliated with tariffs of their own. Do you think that was the right approach to dealing with that situation?
Well, we have to stand up for our industry, but there are two criticisms we have. One is that when we had sunshine, the Prime Minister ought to have made hay. He ought to have fixed up the leaky roof, solidified the foundation in the house, and stocked up the shelves. Instead, he spent the cupboard bare. We have massive deficits, and now we go into this trade war in a weak financial position. Furthermore, our businesses are not only being hit by Trump tariffs, they're being hit by Trudeau taxes. So it's a double whammy. Those taxes by that I mean higher business taxes, carbon taxes, payroll taxes, all things that businesses south of the border will not have to pay. Donald Trump wants our money and our jobs. The problem is Justin Trudeau is helping give him both by driving business out of this country with his high tax policies.
All right. Well, Mr. Poilievre, I appreciate your time. A lot of issues going on with the financial state of the country. Thanks for your insight on this. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.